"Wesley, is that you?" Picard inquired, a mix of surprise and curiosity in his voice. "Yes, Captain, it's me," Wesley replied earnestly. "I've returned, and I spoke to the Q Continuum about the events involving Q and the deaths of your counterparts across timelines. I emphasized the dire consequences these actions could have on the future of our universe. However, the Q Continuum showed no concern. In fact, they sent me to an unknown universe with a mere snap of their fingers. It took me a full month to navigate and comprehend its structure. As they prepared to send me away, they callously laughed and said, 'You will learn.'" "Why am I not surprised?" Picard remarked with a resigned sigh. Turning to Wesley, he inquired, "Tell me, Wesley, you've already sought the Q Continuum for help. What insights do you have about my return, and why everything has changed so drastically?" Wesley met Picard's gaze solemnly. "Captain, I am bound by the oath I took when I became a traveler, not to interfere. Even now, I am breaking those rules by contacting you. All I can divulge is that you must stop the Borg Queen who is actively seeking you. You need to prepare yourself and assemble a team. I can open a portal to where the Queen currently resides, but beyond that, I cannot provide further assistance. Be aware that you will be entering a completely assimilated universe, where the Queen holds utmost power." Wesley stands before Captain Picard with a look of concern etched on his face. He knows he's breaking the rules by revealing as much as he did. The room feels heavy with the seriousness of what lies ahead. "Captain, I must go now. I'll return when you've prepared." With a soft hum, Wesley phases out of existence, leaving Picard alone in the dimly lit room. The weight of his mission settles in. The captain turns to Guinan, seeking guidance in this turbulent reality. "Why didn't Wesley go to his mother, Dr. Crusher?" Guinan looks perplexed, almost hesitant to speak. Her voice is gentle, but the news she brings is anything but comforting. "Jean-Luc, you still aren't aware. In this reality, Beverly went missing 5 years ago, around the time you were assimilated and then brought back. The last entry in the log stated that she was in her quarters and then vanished without a trace." The captain's heart sinks as the reality of the timeline shift sets in. His expression reveals the sorrow he feels, not only for Beverly but for everything that's changed without his knowing. With Captain Picard's revelation about the dire threat posed by the Borg and the potential for interdimensional incursions, the Federation authorized the construction of the USS Prometheus, a top-secret experimental starship designed specifically to combat the Borg across dimensions. The USS Prometheus was built to break treaties and push the boundaries of Starfleet technology. It was designed to surpass Warp 10, providing the ability to travel between dimensions and deep into uncharted space. The ship featured multi-vector assault mode, allowing it to split into 3 separate sections, each with its own command and weapon systems. This flexibility gave the Prometheus an unparalleled advantage in battle, as it could attack from multiple angles simultaneously. One of the key advancements aboard the Prometheus was the integration of quantum torpedoes, thanks to Picard's insights from his travels across different timelines. These weapons were capable of devastating firepower and could easily pierce Borg shields. The ship was also equipped with regenerative shields and ablative hull armor, allowing it to withstand intense energy blasts and even redirect them back to its enemies. Additionally, the Prometheus featured unimatrix shielding, designed to confuse the Borg and make the ship more resistant to assimilation. The ship also had advanced phase-shifting cloaking technology, breaking multiple treaties, but providing a significant tactical advantage. With this cloaking technology, the Prometheus could pass through solid objects and remain invisible to most sensors, making it the most advanced and dangerous starship in the galaxy. The Federation understood the risks associated with the construction of the USS Prometheus, but knew that desperate times called for desperate measures. As Captain Picard prepared to lead the charge against the Borg, the Prometheus stood ready to face the threat of interdimensional warfare and safeguard the future of the universe. As the USS Prometheus neared completion, whispers spread throughout the galaxy that Starfleet was violating treaties to build a ship with unparalleled offensive capabilities. Starfleet's enemies grew increasingly suspicious, sensing a shift in the balance of power. Despite the rumors, Captain Picard pressed forward, assembling a specialized team to pilot the experimental vessel. The first test run for the Prometheus came swiftly. Starfleet intelligence reported a Borg sphere causing trouble in the Delta Quadrant, and Command saw an opportunity to test the new starship's capabilities. Picard and his crew were dispatched to intercept the sphere and determine just how far they could push the Prometheus without drawing undue attention. As the USS Prometheus entered the Delta Quadrant, Captain Picard gathered his crew for a final briefing. He stood at the center of the bridge, his voice steady and resolute, yet edged with a hint of excitement. "This is it," he said. "Our first test run. We'll see what this ship is truly capable of, and whether it's ready to handle the Borg." The crew nodded, their expressions a mix of determination and trepidation. They knew that this mission would set the tone for future engagements, and that the outcome would have far-reaching implications. If the Prometheus could withstand the Borg, it would prove its worth and secure its place in Starfleet's arsenal. But if it faltered, the consequences could be dire, not only for the crew, but for the Federation itself. With this in mind, they steeled themselves for the encounter ahead, knowing that they were about to face one of Starfleet's greatest threats. Data noticed the Borg sphere in the distance and turned to Picard. "Captain, the sphere is on our sensors. Should I engage?" Picard nodded, his gaze steady. "Number 1, are you ready?" Riker flashed a confident grin. "Let's go hunting." "All right," Picard replied, his voice calm but commanding. "Let's test the cloak, Mr. Data. Bring us right above the sphere, about 1,000 meters, and see if they notice us." "Yes, Captain," Data responded, making the necessary adjustments. The Prometheus glided silently into position, hovering above the Borg sphere without alerting it. After a moment, Data confirmed, "The sphere has not reacted to our presence. It appears the cloak is effective." "Good," Jean-Luc said, nodding with approval. "Now let's test the engines. Mr. Data, uncloak and go to warp 9. Let's see if the sphere follows." The Prometheus shimmered into visibility, and within seconds the engines roared to life as the ship accelerated to warp speed. The Borg sphere immediately began to pursue, matching their pace. "Increase speed, Mr. Data. Warp 10, Picard instructed. The Prometheus surged forward and the sphere maintained pursuit. "Warp 10.5, Picard commanded. The ship accelerated, leaving a shimmering trail of light behind. At this speed, even a small miscalculation could result in catastrophic consequences. The Borg sphere struggled to keep pace, its energy signature fluctuating as it attempted to match the Prometheus's speed. "Captain," Data announced, "the sphere is losing ground. It seems unable to maintain warp 10.5. "Full stop," Picard ordered. The Prometheus came to a halt, the sudden deceleration sending ripples through space. The Borg sphere, unable to react as quickly, shot past them and veered off course. Picard glanced at Riker, who was grinning broadly. "Looks like the USS Prometheus is surpassing all expectations," he said, a note of satisfaction in his voice. "Let's see what else this ship can do." Picard glanced at Riker. "Let's see how they react to a little prodding. Mr. Data, target the Borg sphere with phaser fire and let's test our shields." "Yes, Captain," Data replied, his fingers gliding over the controls. The Prometheus unleashed a volley of phaser blasts, striking the Borg sphere. Almost instantly, the sphere retaliated, sending a barrage of energy weapons toward the Prometheus. "Status number 1?" Picard asked, maintaining his calm demeanor. "Minimal damage, sir," Riker replied. "The shields are already regenerating to 100%. Picard nodded. "Let's test the ablative armor's ability to redirect energy blasts. Ready, number 1? Riker confirmed. "Aye, sir." The Borg fired again, but this time, the Prometheus's ablative armor absorbed the energy. Data's display showed the energy build-up, ready to be redirected. "Make it so, number 1, Picard ordered. Riker gave the command to fire, and the redirected energy blast struck the Borg sphere, reducing its shields to 70%. "Now, cloak the ship," Picard said, watching the Borg sphere as the Prometheus shimmered into invisibility. With the Prometheus cloaked, Picard activated the multi-vector assault mode. The ship split into 3 separate segments, each cloaked. The 3 ships then maneuvered around the Borg sphere. "Decloak and fire," Picard ordered. In a synchronized attack, all 3 segments of the Prometheus decloaked, surrounding the Borg sphere. The quantum torpedoes launched, each strike finding its mark. The combined firepower devastated the Borg sphere, reducing it to rubble in a blinding explosion. Riker nodded with satisfaction. "Sphere destroyed, Captain. Shields holding at full capacity." Picard glanced at his crew, his expression stoic. "Good work, everyone." This was merely a glimpse of the true potential the USS Prometheus possessed, but there was little time for celebration. Unbeknownst to the crew, the Romulans had been watching the Prometheus from the shadows, cloaked and observing its every move. Suddenly, 5 Romulan warbirds decloaked, catching Captain Picard off guard. To his surprise, the familiar face of Spock appeared on the view screen. "Captain Jean-Luc Picard," Spock intoned, his voice calm but resolute. "I suppose this means war." Share, like, comment and subscribe for part 5.